Planning Board for July 28, 2011 will now come to order. Anyone wishing to address the Planning Board, you will need to sign the green sheet at the front and turn it into Ms. Williams for the record. Ms. Williams, will you call a roll?
Washington, certainly. Ms. Remark.
Here.
Mr. Hoitzma.
Here.
Mr. Hurt.
Here.
Ms. Lesage.
Here.
Ms. Benjamin.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Here.
Mr. Neal. Mr. Fishback. Mr. Bohan.
Here.
Ms. Washington. Here. And Mr. McGinnis.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Call for the approval of the minutes. Did everyone get a copy of the minutes and have a chance to review those? Ms. Williams, thank you for your efforts in getting those out to us. It was an extremely long meeting last week.
Yes, it was.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Our new items.
Item number 4, semi-public use request, Museum of Arts and Sciences, DEV 2011-039.
Mr. Morosi.
Thank you. Dennis Morozek, planner with the City of Daytona Beach. I'm going to keep this brief. As you know, this item is a request for a semi-public use permit for the Museum of Arts and Sciences. I had passed out the staff report, and I included a supplemental memo within the staff report that indicated that the applicant was going to be required to provide verification from Volusia County that the subject site was eligible to be used as proposed. Although still anticipated by the applicant, the city has not yet received that county verification, so staff is recommending at this time that the item be continued to a future date. Now, I know the applicant is here and he's available to answer any questions if you have them, but we just feel at this time it would be more prudent to carry the item on to the next meeting.
Do we have any idea of what future date at this point?
Next
I defer to the applicant on
All
it.
right. Mr. Merrill.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Board members, Rob Merrill for the record, 150 Magnolia Avenue. Here from the museum. Debbie Allen's here with me from the museum as well, and Curtis Burkett from Zevco and Associates. If you have any questions, I think it'd probably be best if we put the questions off until it was a continued hearing. But I did want to say, for the benefit of anybody who got notice that's here to ask any questions about this, that we'd be happy to talk to them afterwards, any of us, for any questions they might have, so it would make your job easier next time when we come back. In terms of the timing, I don't want to get into the details of the verification, as Dennis put it, that we're waiting for from the county. But essentially, this is a piece of land that the county conveyed to the city some time ago, and there were some restrictions or title burdens, if you will, that we need to clarify with the county. And it was land that was actually acquired by the county as a result of the I think it was 1986 bond issue that was approved by the voters. You might remember, with the county's first acquisition of public lands referendum that went out. So we're trying to make sure all of the necessary protocol is in place to make sure the transfer from Daytona to the museum is okay with the county, essentially. And it's in the county attorney's office. I saw him as recently as county council last Thursday, and he was still pondering. So we're going to let him ponder until he comes up with the answer for us. So that's where we are. There's really no way to predict. I'm hoping that by your next meeting we should have some resolution, hopefully, and be able to bring this back at your next meeting. So we request the continuance for a month if that's
Okay.
available.
I guess the only concern is since the notice has gone out, there may be some residents here, some people here that may not be able to come next month, and perhaps
We're happy to hear from
for the
them now
record,
if you want
they may
to.
want to say something, and you may have some response.
Sure, or we can talk to them privately or both. You know, we're happy to do whichever you prefer.
Normally in the past, they'd all just go down in the hall, and any questions that they had, they just ask, and then Rob would be gracious enough to.
I think that would be a good
Sure.
way to handle it.
We can
That's
do
the
that.
case.
Okay.
May I have a motion for?
I'll make a motion that we continue
PEB 2011-039 until next month.
Second.
We have a motion to second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Anyone wishing any comments from Mr. Merle, if you'll meet with him out in the lobby, he'd be happy to discuss things with you, particularly if you can't make it next month. Okay, moving on to our other business, our Downtown Blue Road Redevelopment Area Board. Ms. Washington.
That was my only card this week, so. Yeah, I saw that. Conditional use, yeah.
The Downtown Blue Road Redevelopment Area Board met on July 12th at 12 noon, which was a Tuesday. We received staff reports from the police department and code enforcement. As far as code enforcement was concerned, there were 3 businesses cited for occupational licenses. There were 2 for lot clearances, 2 for graffiti, 1 for fire damage, and 1 an abandoned building. Overgrown lawns, 415 Orange Avenue, and at 801 South Ridgewood, they had cars parking on the lawn. They were cited. As far as the police department was concerned, crime is down 6% in that area. They said there were several individuals that inquired about the Coliseum. It was stated that the Coliseum is still open. It's a huge problem for the police this summer, much more than normal. This crowd that they have now, even though it's open in the early hours, they don't get busy until about midnight. And they say from midnight until 3 o'clock, it's unreal. They have Tuesday nights is the other nights. It's only 2 nights that they have problems with. It's Saturday night and Tuesday night. Saturday night is that midnight crowd. Tuesday night, it's teen night, and they have a large slew of problems. There were 2 items that came before us. Sweet Marley's Coffee Shop. They wanted to have, they came for approval of wall graphic. They wanted to have a coffee cup painted on the terracotta wall, and the graphic itself would be white. That was approved. Rocco's Frozen Yogurt came for approval for Sidewalk Cafe. The use was approved, and that was at 200 North Beach Street. There was a report, an update on Streetscape, and that we were notified that that has been approved by City Commission to run from Ridgewood Avenue to A1A, and it's scheduled to be completed in 6 to 9 months. The concept will be presented to the stakeholders in September. We had a long
good.
meeting, but very productive.
You did have a long one. Midtown Redevelopment Area Board, Ms. Benjamin.
The meeting was held July 12th at 6 p.m. Staff reports was from the police department, and there was still concerns about Haynes Street and Orange Avenue, and the car wash on the corner of Orange Avenue and Martin Luther King that stays open at 2 o'clock in the morning.
True.
Code enforcement and the police department say they would check it to see what they can do about it. The biggest discussion was the prohibit use, and it was a big discussion. So I'm sure you all heard about it, and I don't need to elaborate on it. But from now on, that Charles Williams will be the staff to represent Midtown Redevelopment Board in saying anything here or any other place. The master plan review, FAM is coming back, and we're going to have another workshop. And as far as the redevelopment project update, the paint jobs, they showed the houses that was located in the redevelopment area that the program painted, and that was the end. But the meeting lasted very long, and it was all because of prohibit.
Prohibited uses, okay. Main Street South Atlantic Redevelopment Board, Ms. Remark.
And actually, I didn't actually hear about your board meeting at all, but did you guys actually come to a decision on prohibited uses, or is there, just so we know, or is there going to be more discussion?
It's going to be more discussion.
Okay.
They're going to bring it back to you.
Okay, all right. We met the next night, July 13th, with two new members, Gary Libby and Teresa Doan. Teresa wasn't there, she's on vacation. And Angela Cameron, I mean, she didn't know when she was going to be appointed or if, so she had vacation. Angela Cameron had to resign because of her position she's taken with the Ocean Center. So the commission gets to fill another position on that board. And we did change our meeting times back to 6 o'clock like all the other boards, no more 6:30. We had an hour discussion just on police. Beachside, there was a 39% crime hike at the beginning of the summer, mid-May. It just spiked. A lot of kids out of school, a lot of delinquency. I mean, there's quite a bit of problems smack dab in the middle of where the E-zone is planned. There was a shooting at the Burger King right across from Ocean Walk. And there are juveniles down there that have been arrested so often they actually have ankle bracelets on them from the police. I mean, it's a real bad problem. And we were talking, that led into our discussion item on the E-zone master plan and coming up with some ways of truly partnering with the county. If this is going to work, it has to be a joint effort. We talked about some ways of possibly changing how the sheriff office dispatches, maybe geographically rather than by call, because if that area continues to be such a crime problem, it's going to fail as a tourist area. So we had a lot of discussion on that, about the parking garage as well, a lot of crime with the parking garage. So, and that, like I say, went into the E-zone. We'll begin discussing. We just got everything that you guys were given to start reading through that, working out, starting to flesh out some of the details, what's important, hearing back from the commissioners on, their concerns and what they'd like to see with it. We had the ISB streetscape update, and actually with everything that has to be done still, we figure construction should be ready to commence by July of next year. By the time you do all of your engineering and all of your everything, so that's all on track finally for that. And that was actually our meeting. So.
You had a very productive meeting, too.
Yeah, well, actually, there's some great ideas that came out of that.
Good. Public comments? Anyone in the public like to make a comment?
Oh, wait, I did want to add one thing. I'm sorry. I don't want to leave it out there that the police have actually brought the crime spike down to they're now only 8% above what they were last year. I mean, the police have been doing a fabulous job. So I didn't want to leave it that, right.
What is being?
Yeah.
Any staff comments? I'm sure we have some from our pass-outs that we have here.
Yes, you have a complete copy of the final report that ACOM gave to the City Commission, who have approved the application concept. There was a public input meeting last night at the Peabody Auditorium. I know some of you were able to be there. There's a lot of steps needed before that is implemented, including several with this board, with amendment to the comprehensive plan, adoption of a form-based zoning code overlay. There'll be meetings like that also with the CRA and the City Commission. So there's a lot of more opportunities. Each one of those steps will kind of build on each other with more detail. Right now, there's a whole lot of detail in this. I don't want to underestimate or undersell how much detail and effort went into this, but it is just the master plan. Each step after this will be more and more detail building on that, and it's a concept. So there is opportunities to massage things that are in there that, as we work out the details, need to be massaged. It's just a master plan. That's the intent of it. Really, the smaller document is really the plan, and all the rest is the backup for it. So if you only have the time to read one of them, read the smaller one, because that is really the plan.
That's really what it is. Okay. I also noticed that you had a pass out too. Did
Yeah,
you
there's
mention this too?
Yeah, there's a memo that was given to the city commission. Actually, it was from me to the city manager, but I know it was given to the city commission. I heard from a couple of them that did acknowledge it and had been reading through it. Hasn't been any discussion that I'm aware of yet on it, but it was given out. The other thing I wanted to mention is those of you that are on our task force for Land Development Code, be ready. We're going to get that document. I believe it'll be over 500 pages long, and we'll have a meeting. I'll give you several weeks to read through it, but I'm expecting that hopefully by the end of next week.
To start to be presented then to the public, is that?
Yeah, well, the scope of services with Clarion is that after each module, they'll be here for 2 days of meetings. One will be, and typically is what we did in the last couple times they were here, was have the first day is with the advisory board, and we go through in quite a bit of detail, ask questions. We've met with the VCARD group, any other stakeholders that they've needed input on where they are in the process, particularly the technical review committee staff. And then there's a public input meeting open to the public. I think the last one was in this room. I don't know if they've all been here. It kind of depends on the way we're going to present it and how much input we expect. I can tell you the last public input meeting on Module 1, we had 2 members of the public that came. Both of those members had also actually been there at the advisory meeting, so it was a very quick meeting. So I think most public is waiting until they see more details before they have a whole lot to say. And but this next one will be a whole lot of detail. There's only 3 modules and 2 builds on one, so it's expanded. One of the items in Module 1, for instance, is definitions. As they go on, they have to add more definitions, and that'll continue to grow until the 3rd module will be the whole thing. So just want to let everybody know where we are in that process. We'll make sure everybody gets notice. Let me go back to this E-zone report because of all of the graphics and all of the color in it. It's a very expensive document. There aren't a whole lot of those floating around. That is online. Go online, the very first page, there's a link to it. There's also hard copies of it in the library here on the island, as well as at the clerk's office for members of the public that would rather see a hard copy and don't want to go online. But we'll definitely do the same thing with Module 2. As big as that is going to be, we'll have those 2 places for sure. We'll have a copy of that document, as well as the planning department office. But we'll get a notice up of when we expect the hearings, and as soon as we have it, it'll be posted on our website. We have a particular spot for the LDC rewrite on the website.
As big as this next one's going to be, are we going to have a little bit more time than we did with Module 1 before we?
I'm expecting several weeks.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, any board member
4
comments?
weeks.
I have one.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, I thought since we were done a little early tonight, I wonder if we couldn't discuss the increase in the national debt limit. I thought we could make a recommendation of Congress and get it off tomorrow and get that finished up.
You think that would really help?
I have a question.
Yes.
Just a question on the comment. I didn't have the privilege of being here last month for the meeting. I got to watch most of it on tape, but the ordinance that was passed about what was the place that wanted to allow music, will that ordinance also apply to the E-zone?
It wasn't passed.
You're talking about the one on Seabreeze?
Right.
That's going to go to the city commission, I think, for first reading at their next meeting.
Not for that specific one, but it failed here. And what I'm saying is if it failed and it takes a supermajority of the city council,
Correct.
and if it fails with the city council, is that ordinance apply to the E-zone?
That ordinance applies to that piece of property only. It's a PUD request for that one piece of property. So that ordinance
Which
is just for
doesn't
the,
meet the
right, for
parameters
that.
of the PUD. So. Well, since Mr. Nicholson isn't here,
Yes, it's the
I would like to bring up again what she does quite frequently, that we don't forget, particularly for short meetings like this, the submerged lands study. And I know we feel it's not pressing, but one of these days it will be, and we need to have something decided before.
That will be part of our, if not Module 2, which I don't think it is, Module 3, where it's more of the design. It'll be covered and
In that area.
addressed in there, yes.
If there's no other comments,
Copies are going out next week, next Friday,
I'm sorry.
the 500-page.
I'm expecting it from the consultant in time to be able to get it out by the end of the day next Friday, but we'll see. I haven't received it yet. They were still working on it this week when we spoke.
Okay.
Planning board's adjourned.